Hey there, you're looking kind of cute. Don't forget to subscribe and check out all my other socials. Enjoy. The waiting room smelled like disinfectant and old magazines. Lights hummed overhead, casting harsh shadows across the beige walls. A man in a gray t-shirt and black jeans sat in the corner, filling out paperwork. His brown hair fell across his forehead as he hunched over the clipboard. Matthew Harrison? A nurse in purple scrubs called from the doorway. He stood, leaving the clipboard on the chair. That's me. Right this way. She led him down a narrow hallway lined with examination rooms. Dr. Peterson will be with you shortly. The examination room felt even smaller than the waiting area. Matthew perched on the paper-covered table, legs dangling. A poster about blood pressure stared back at him from the wall. Dr. Peterson entered, white coat pristine, reading from a tablet. Seasonal allergies getting worse? Yeah, can barely breathe when the pollen count goes up. We've got you enrolled in our trial for a new antihistamine. Should work better than the over-the-counter stuff. The doctor tapped the screen. Take one of these twice daily. Blue bottle. A nurse brought in a white paper bag. Matthew peeked inside. A blue prescription bottle rattled with pills. Any questions? When should I start noticing results? Give it about a week. Come back in a month for a follow-up. Dr. Peterson shook his hand. The trial coordinator will call to check in. Matthew drove home to his studio apartment, the paper bag on the passenger seat. He kicked off his sneakers by the door and grabbed a glass of water from the kitchen. The pills looked ordinary enough. Small, white, round. He swallowed one and set a reminder on his phone for the evening dose. 3 days passed without incident. Matthew went to work at the warehouse, lifting boxes and operating the forklift. But on the fourth morning, his gray t-shirt felt tight across the chest. He tugged at the fabric, assuming it had shrunk in the wash. By the end of the week, his jeans pinched at the hips. The bathroom scale showed he'd lost 5 pounds, but his body felt different, softer somehow. He stood sideways in the mirror, running a hand over his stomach. The definition he'd worked hard for at the gym had smoothed out. Must be water retention from the new meds, he muttered, grabbing his black hoodie from the closet. 2 weeks in, his voice cracked during a phone call with his manager. Harrison, you coming down with something? No, just allergies. Take care of yourself. Matthew hung up and cleared his throat. His Adam's apple felt smaller when he touched it. That night, he noticed his brown hair looked shinier, growing faster than usual. He'd need a haircut soon. The changes accelerated. His hips pushed against his jeans until he had to leave the top button undone. His chest felt tender, swollen beneath his shirts. He called in sick to work, too embarrassed to explain why none of his clothes fit properly. Standing naked in front of the full-length mirror, Matthew's breath caught. His waist had narrowed while his hips had widened. Small mounds had formed on his chest. His face looked softer, cheekbones more prominent. Even his hands seemed more delicate. What the hell is happening to me? He grabbed the pill bottle, squinting at the label. The pharmacy name, his name, the doctor's name, all correct. But something felt wrong. He dialed the clinic. Riverside Medical, how may I direct your call? I need to speak with Dr. Peterson. This is Matthew Harrison. I think there's something wrong with my medication. Please hold. Classical music filled the silence. Matthew paced his apartment, one arm crossed over his chest. Mr. Harrison? This is Dr. Peterson. What seems to be the problem? The pills you gave me. I think they're doing something to my body. What kind of symptoms are you experiencing? Matthew hesitated. Physical changes, significant ones. Can you come in immediately? Don't take any more medication. I'll be there in 20 minutes. Matthew threw on his largest hoodie and sweatpants, the only clothes that still fit loosely. The drive felt endless. Other drivers seemed to stare at red lights, as if they could see through his baggy clothes. The clinic was nearly empty on a Tuesday afternoon. The same nurse in purple scrubs appeared instantly. Mr. Harrison? Come with me. Dr. Peterson waited in his office, not an exam room. His face had gone pale. Please, sit down. What's happening to me? The doctor pulled up something on his computer, fingers flying across the keyboard. There's been a mix-up, a terrible mix-up. He turned the monitor toward Matthew. You were given the wrong medication. Wrong how? Another trial running concurrently. Experimental hormone therapy. You've been taking high-dose feminizing hormones for 2 weeks. The room spun. Matthew gripped the arms of the chair. Hormones? Estrogen and androgen blockers. I'm so sorry. This should never have happened. Can you reverse it? Dr. Peterson's silence stretched too long. Some changes may be permanent. We need to run tests, see how your body has responded. But first, we need to stop the medication immediately. Some changes may be permanent. Matthew's voice came out higher than intended. The breast development, the fat redistribution, possibly the voice changes. I won't lie to you. 2 weeks of high-dose hormones can have lasting effects. Matthew stared at his hands folded in his lap. They looked like a stranger's hands. What am I supposed to do? We'll provide full medical support. The clinic will cover all costs. If you want to pursue legal action, I don't want to sue anyone. I just want to understand what's happening. Dr. Peterson leaned forward. Your body has been flooded with female hormones. Essentially, you've undergone the beginning stages of medical transition. We can prescribe testosterone to counteract some effects, but your endocrine system may have adapted. Some patients find their bodies don't respond well to reversing course. The words hung in the air. Matthew's mind raced, but one thought kept surfacing. He didn't feel as upset as he should. The changes terrified him, but underneath the fear, something else stirred. Relief? Curiosity? I need time to think. Of course, but please schedule blood work this week. We need to monitor your levels. Matthew left with a folder full of paperwork and a head full of questions. Back in his apartment, he stood before the mirror again. This time, he really looked. The soft curves, the gentle features. He touched his face, ran fingers through his brown hair that now reached his shoulders. That night, sleep wouldn't come. He lay in bed, scrolling through his phone. Without thinking, he typed male to female transition into the search bar. Stories flooded the screen, before and after photos, medical information, personal blogs. One phrase kept appearing, gender dysphoria. The definition made him sit up, a disconnect between body and mind. Had he felt that before? He'd never questioned being male, but had he ever felt completely comfortable? The next morning, curiosity won. Matthew opened his laptop and navigated to an online clothing store. His finger hovered over the women's section. Just to see, he told himself. Just to understand what was happening. A simple black dress caught his eye. Nothing fancy, just a basic A-line that would hide his lack of proper curves. His cursor moved to the size chart. Based on his measurements, his new measurements, he'd need a medium. The order processed before doubt could creep in. 3 days later, a package arrived. Matthew's hands shook as he opened it. The dress felt soft between his fingers. He locked the door, pulled the blinds, and slipped it on. The mirror reflected someone he didn't recognize. The dress fit perfectly, falling just above the knee. His legs looked longer, shapelier. He turned sideways, smoothing the fabric over his hips. For the first time since the changes began, he smiled. The smile faded as reality crashed back. He was a warehouse worker, had been one for 5 years. Guys like him didn't wear dresses. But the person in the mirror didn't look like a guy anymore. His phone rang. The clinic. Mr. Harrison, this is Janet from Dr. Peterson's office. We have your blood work results. And? Your testosterone levels are extremely low. Estrogen is elevated but within female ranges. The doctor wants to discuss your options. When? Can you come in tomorrow at 2? I'll be there. Matthew hung up and looked back at the mirror. The dress still fit perfectly. He didn't want to take it off, but eventually changed back into his hoodie and sweatpants. The dress went into the closet, carefully hung. That evening, he ordered more. 2 skirts, 1 navy, 1 burgundy, a white blouse, a pair of flats in his new shoe size. Each click felt like stepping through a door he couldn't close. The doctor's appointment arrived too quickly. Matthew sat across from Dr. Peterson, wearing his usual gray and black, feeling like a fraud. Your body has adapted remarkably well to the hormones. Too well, actually. The doctor pulled up charts on his screen. Your natural testosterone production has essentially stopped. Meaning? Starting testosterone replacement now would be fighting your body's new baseline. You might experience significant side effects. So I'm stuck like this? Dr. Peterson chose his words carefully. You have options. We can try testosterone and see how you respond. Or? Some patients in similar situations have chosen to continue with estrogen therapy. To complete the transition, their body has already begun. The words should have sparked panic. Instead, Matthew felt that strange relief again. People have done that? It's not common, but yes. The psychological response to unwanted physical changes varies greatly. Some fight it, others find unexpected alignment. I bought a dress. The confession tumbled out before Matthew could stop it. Dr. Peterson's expression didn't change. How did that feel? Right, it felt right. Have you experienced gender dysphoria before? I don't know, maybe. I never thought about it. I was just me. Sometimes it takes a catalyst for people to recognize feelings they've suppressed or ignored. The doctor leaned back. I'm going to refer you to a therapist who specializes in gender identity. Talk to them before making any decisions about hormones. But the pills, I can't take any more of those, right? Correct. Your body is producing some estrogen naturally now, but at lower levels. Whatever you decide, we'll need to manage your hormones properly. Matthew left with another folder, this one containing a therapist's card. Dr. Amanda Chen, gender identity specialist. He made the appointment from his car. The week crawled by. His new clothes arrived, hidden in the back of his closet like guilty secrets. He tried them on late at night, learning how different fabrics felt against changed skin. The mirror became less frightening, more intriguing. Work called daily. He ran out of sick days, had to make a choice. The morning he was supposed to return, Matthew stood in his bedroom, staring at his male clothes. None of them fit properly anymore. The thought of squeezing into them, of pretending nothing had changed, made his stomach churn. He called his manager. I need to take a leave of absence. Medical issue. How long? I don't know. I'm sorry. Get better, Harrison. Job will be here when you're ready. Freedom and terror mingled in his chest. Without work structuring his days, Matthew found himself living increasingly as the person in the mirror. He practiced walking in the flats, watched makeup tutorials without applying any, let his brown hair air dry into soft waves. The therapist's office was in a converted Victorian house, all warm colors and soft lighting. Dr. Chen greeted him with a handshake, her own grip firm but gentle. Matthew, please have a seat wherever you're comfortable. He chose the armchair facing the window. Rain drummed against the glass. Tell me what brings you here today. The story poured out. The pills, the changes, the dress, the confusion. Dr. Chen listened without interrupting, occasionally jotting notes. How do you feel about these changes now, sitting here today? Matthew tugged at his hoodie. Scared, but also not? Like I'm becoming someone I didn't know I wanted to be. Have you chosen a different name? Some people find it helpful to try one out. I thought about it. Heat crept up his neck. Justine, I don't know why. Would you like me to use that name during our sessions? The question hit harder than expected. Tears pricked at the corners of his eyes. Maybe? Yes. Okay, Justine, let's talk about what happens next. They discussed everything. Hormones, social transition, legal name changes, the difference between crossdressing and being transgender. Dr. Chen never pushed, just provided information and space to process. I don't know if I'm transgender, Justine admitted near the end, but I know I don't want to go back. You don't have to label yourself today or ever. Focus on what feels right for you. Justine left the appointment with homework. Live as herself for a week. See how it felt. The prospect terrified and thrilled her in equal measure. That night, she cleared out her male clothes, donating them to charity. The empty closet felt like a blank canvas. She hung up her dresses, folded her skirts, arranged her flats. Tomorrow, she decided she'd go shopping for more. In person this time. The mall on a Wednesday morning was mostly empty. Justine wore the black dress with a cardigan in deep green, her brown hair pulled back in a simple ponytail. Each step felt monumental. Would people stare? Clock her? She'd practiced her voice, raising it slightly, but worry gnawed at her confidence. The department store makeup counter gleamed under bright lights. An older woman in a pink blazer smiled at her approach. Can I help you find something? I'm new to makeup, starting from scratch. How exciting! Let's find your perfect shade. The consultant didn't blink at Justine's inexperience or her slightly nervous demeanor. She explained each product, demonstrated application techniques, built a simple starter kit. Foundation, mascara, lip gloss, blush, nothing dramatic. You have lovely skin. Keep it simple and let your natural beauty shine. Natural beauty. The words echoed as Justine paid for her purchases. Back home, she spent hours practicing. The first attempts looked clownish, but gradually she found her hand. Light foundation to even out her skin. A touch of mascara to define her eyes. Rose-colored gloss that made her lips look fuller. The therapist appointments continued weekly. Justine showed up each time presenting more feminine, gaining confidence. They discussed starting official hormone therapy, regulated doses instead of the accidental overdose. I want to do it properly this time, Justine said during one session, with the right doses and monitoring. Have you thought about coming out to people in your life? I don't have much family, a few friends from work. She smoothed her burgundy skirt. I'm not ready for that. There's no timeline you have to follow. Some people come out immediately, others take years. What about work? I can't hide forever. Many people transition on the job. It requires planning, but it's absolutely possible. The endocrinologist appointment felt different from the clinic visits. Dr. Martinez specialized in transgender care, her office walls covered with thank you cards from patients. She reviewed Justine's blood work, discussed the accidental hormone exposure. You're lucky in a way. Your body responded well without major complications. Going forward, we'll use standard feminizing hormone therapy. What changes should I expect? Continued breast development, further fat redistribution, softer skin. Your muscle mass will continue decreasing. Face changes will be subtle but ongoing. And my voice? Estrogen doesn't affect voice once it's already changed from testosterone. You'll need to train it or consider surgery eventually. Justine nodded, absorbing the information. They established a hormone regimen, pills, but the right ones this time, regular blood work every 3 months. Dr. Martinez handed over the prescription with a smile. Welcome to your journey, Justine. The pharmacy felt different this time. No confusion, no accidents, just a woman picking up her medication. The pharmacist in a white coat didn't look twice. Months blended together. Justine established routines. Morning yoga to stay flexible as her body changed. Voice training videos on YouTube. Slowly expanding her wardrobe with each paycheck from her savings. She discovered her style, classic, simple, feminine, without being overly frilly. The first time she went grocery shopping in a sundress, no one stared. The cashier called her ma'am without hesitation. These small validations built her confidence brick by brick. Her brown hair grew past her shoulders. She learned to style it, bought her first curling iron, experimented with braids. The person in the mirror became more familiar each day. Not the stranger from those first weeks, but herself. Justine. 6 months after the accident, she stood in a dressing room trying on jeans. Women's jeans, designed for her new curves. The size 8 fit perfectly, hugging her hips and lengthening her legs. She paired them with a coral sweater and ankle boots in tan leather. Those look great on you. The sales associate poked her head around the curtain. Thanks, I'll take them. Shopping became less about necessity and more about joy. Justine discovered she loved browsing, feeling fabrics, putting together outfits. Her apartment reflected the change. Candles on the coffee table, throw pillows on the couch, fresh flowers in a vase by the window. The call came on a Thursday. Her manager from the warehouse. Harrison? HR says your leave is almost up. You coming back? Justine sat at her kitchen table, painting her nails soft pink. I need to talk to you about that. Can we meet? Sure. Coffee tomorrow? That works. She agonized over what to wear. Professional, but authentic. She settled on charcoal gray slacks and a white button-down, her brown hair styled in loose waves. Light makeup, nothing that screamed for attention. Her former manager sat in the corner booth, coffee already ordered. He looked up as she approached, confusion flickering across his face. Sorry, I'm meeting someone. It's me, Matthew. Well, Justine now. He blinked rapidly, coffee cup frozen halfway to his mouth. Harrison? She slid into the opposite seat. I know this is a shock. That's an understatement. He set down his cup carefully. The medical leave? There was an accident with medication. It started physical changes, and I realized this is who I am. So you're transgender, living as a woman full-time now. Silence stretched between them. Justine sipped her coffee, letting him process. Can't say I saw this coming. He rubbed his forehead. But you were always a good worker. HR will need to know. Paperwork to update. You're okay with this? Not my place to be okay or not okay. You do your job, that's what matters. He paused, though the guys might need some time to adjust. I understand. They discussed logistics. She'd return the following Monday. HR would send an email to the team beforehand. Her name tag and records would be updated. The women's locker room would be available. It'll be different, her manager warned. But we've dealt with different before. Monday arrived like a freight train. Justine chose her outfit carefully. Navy slacks, a gray blouse, black flats. Professional, understated. Her hands trembled as she pulled into the familiar parking lot. The warehouse looked the same. Concrete walls, high ceilings, the beep of forklifts in reverse. But everything felt different approaching as Justine instead of Matthew. Well, look who's back. Tommy from shipping grinned at her. Looking good, Justine. Not everyone was as welcoming. Some stared, others whispered. But her hands remembered the work. Her body adapted to the physical demands despite less muscle mass. By lunch, she'd found her rhythm. Weird seeing you like this, admitted Carlos during break. But you seem happier? I am happier. Then good for you. The days turned to weeks. Most coworkers adapted, using her new name without stumbling. A few holdouts made comments, but HR shut those down quickly. Justine focused on her work, proving she could still pull her weight. Her transition continued outside work. Laser hair removal for her face. Painful, but worth it. Growing confidence in her voice. Learning to do more elaborate makeup for evenings out. She joined a yoga class, making friends who only knew her as Justine. You're blooming, Dr. Chen observed during a session. How does it feel? Like I'm finally living instead of just existing. Any regrets about the path you've taken? Justine considered the question. The accident had stolen her choice initially, thrust her into changes she hadn't asked for. But what emerged from that chaos felt more genuine than anything she'd experienced before. No regrets, even with all the challenges. Speaking of challenges, have you thought about dating? Heat flushed her cheeks. Not ready for that. No pressure. Just remember you deserve love and connection like anyone else. The topic lingered in her mind. She'd noticed men noticing her. Quick glances, held doors, occasional flirtation. The attention felt foreign, but not unwelcome. Maybe someday when she felt more settled in her skin. Her 1-year anniversary of starting hormones properly approached. Dr. Martinez showed her the comparison photos. Remarkable changes. How do you feel? Like myself, finally. Her body had found its new equilibrium. B-cup breasts, defined waist, fuller hips and thighs. Her face had softened considerably. Rounder cheeks, smaller nose, larger eyes. The brown hair that had started it all now reached the middle of her back. Any interest in surgeries? Maybe facial feminization eventually. Bottom surgery, I don't know yet. No rush, these are personal decisions. Justine left with her prescription refill and a sense of accomplishment. A year ago, she'd been Matthew, confused and scared by unexpected changes. Now she walked through the world as herself, confident in her identity. The legal name change finalized on a Tuesday. Justine Marie Harrison, official in the eyes of the law. She updated her driver's license, social security card, bank accounts, each document affirming who she'd become. Her wardrobe had exploded beyond those first tentative purchases. Work clothes in navy and gray, casual wear in every color, little black dresses for evenings out. She'd discovered a love of accessories, scarves, jewelry, handbags that matched her shoes. You're like a different person, her coworker Emma mentioned over lunch. Same person, just finally showing on the outside who I was inside. That medical mix-up was kind of a blessing then? Justine had thought about this often. Would she have ever discovered herself without that accident? The question had no answer, but she'd made peace with it. In its own strange way, yes. Her days developed rhythm. Work at the warehouse, yoga classes twice a week, coffee with new friends on weekends. She volunteered at a clothing drive, helping others find outfits that made them feel confident. Her life felt full in ways it never had before. The message came through a dating app she'd finally, nervously, joined. A man named David, profile full of hiking photos and a genuine smile. Love your energy in your photos. Coffee sometime? Justine stared at the message for 20 minutes before responding. Sure, this Saturday? They met at a bookstore cafe. David was taller than expected, with kind eyes and an easy laugh. He knew she was trans. She'd been upfront in her profile, but treated her simply as a woman. Tell me about yourself. She found herself sharing more than expected. Her job, her love of yoga, the way she'd discovered herself through an accident. He listened attentively, asking thoughtful questions. That's quite a journey. Still ongoing. Aren't all the best journeys? They talked for 3 hours. About books, travel dreams, favorite restaurants. When they parted, he asked for a second date. Justine agreed, floating home on a cloud. I have a date, she told her mirror that night, grinning at her reflection. More dates followed. Movies, dinners, long walks in the park. David made her laugh, respected her boundaries, held her hand like she was precious. When he kissed her after their 5th date, she melted into it. Is this okay? He pulled back, checking. More than okay. Her therapist smiled knowingly at their next session. You're glowing. I didn't think anyone would want me. Not like this. Why not? You're a beautiful woman inside and out. The word still sometimes caught her off guard. Woman. But it fit now, settled into her bones like truth. 2 years after the accident, Justine barely remembered being anyone else. Old photos of Matthew looked like a stranger, someone playing a role that never quite fit. She kept one picture as a reminder, not of who she'd been, but how far she'd come. Her relationship with David deepened. He met her coworkers, joined her at yoga, brought her flowers just because. They moved in together after a year, blending their lives seamlessly. No regrets? He asked one morning, watching her get ready for work. She paused mid-mascara application. About what? Everything. The changes, us, your whole journey. Best accident that ever happened to me. Remind me to thank that pharmacy for messing up. She threw a pillow at him, laughing, but the sentiment was true. What had started as a terrifying mistake had led her to herself. Work promoted her to shift supervisor. She handled the new responsibilities with confidence, earning respect through competence and kindness. The warehouse crew who'd once whispered now came to her with problems and trusted her solutions. Her voice had settled into a natural feminine range through practice. She'd decided against surgery, comfortable with what training achieved. Her body felt right now, curves and softness exactly as they should be. 3 years, she told Dr. Martinez at her checkup. Feels like a lifetime and yesterday all at once. You've done amazingly well. Not everyone adapts so smoothly. I had good support. That evening, David took her to their favorite restaurant. He seemed nervous, fidgeting with his napkin. Everything okay? He dropped to one knee beside the table. Justine Marie Harrison, you've made my life brighter every single day. Will you marry me? The rings sparkled in the candlelight. Tears blurred her vision as she nodded, unable to speak. The restaurant erupted in applause. Later, curled together on the couch, she admired how the diamond caught the light. My parents want to meet you, David said carefully. I've told them about you, but they know I'm trans. Yeah, we'll face it together. The meeting went better than feared. His mother embraced her immediately. His father took longer to warm up, but eventually came around. They saw their son happy and loved. Everything else was details. Wedding planning consumed months. Justine found the perfect dress in ivory, A-line, like that first black dress, but elegant with lace details. Her brown hair would be styled up, showcasing the earrings David's grandmother had worn. You sure you don't want anyone from before? Emma asked, helping with preparations. That life feels like a dream someone else had. She'd made peace with leaving Matthew behind entirely. No family had kept in touch. Few friends had bothered to understand. Her life was full of people who knew and loved Justine. The ceremony was small, intimate. David cried when she walked down the aisle. She managed to hold her tears until the vows, then gave up on protecting her makeup. They were pronounced husband and wife under an arch of roses, surrounded by chosen family. How do you feel, Mrs. Coleman? David whispered during their first dance. Complete. The honeymoon in Costa Rica revealed Justine's growing sense of adventure. She zip-lined through rainforests, swam in hot springs, tried surfing badly but with enthusiasm. Each experience felt richer for being lived authentically. Back home, they settled into married life. Justine kept her maiden name professionally, but hyphenated socially. Justine Harrison Coleman had a nice ring to it. "Kids?" David asked one evening, casual but serious. I know, but adoption, fostering, if you want. Maybe someday. Let me think." The possibility both thrilled and terrified her. Could she be a mother? The girl pills had given her so much, but taken that particular ability. Yet families formed in many ways. Her career continued advancing. The company promoted her to warehouse manager, recognizing her ability to bridge different groups and solve problems creatively. She implemented new training programs, improved safety protocols, created a more inclusive environment. "You've transformed this place," the regional director noted during a visit. "I understand transformation pretty well." 5 years after the accident, Justine could barely imagine another life. She woke each morning next to her husband, dressed in clothes that fit her body and soul, worked at a job where she was respected and valued. The woman in the mirror smiled back, comfortable in her skin. "Any plans for the anniversary?" Dr. Chen asked during what had become annual check-ins. "David's taking me somewhere special. Won't say where. You've built a beautiful life. From the strangest beginning." That evening, David blindfolded her for the drive. When the cloth came off, they stood outside the clinic where it all began. "Why here?" "I made a donation in your name for their new gender care wing. Thought we should thank the place that brought you to yourself." "And to you." "That too." They held hands, looking at the building that had accidentally changed everything. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new joys, the ordinary magic of a life lived genuinely. But tonight, they stood where it started, grateful for wrong pills that led to everything right. Justine touched her wedding ring, then the small scar on her arm from that first blood draw. Some accidents, she'd learned, were destiny in disguise. The best kind of mistake, one that revealed who you were meant to be all along. Inside the clinic, a plaque would bear her name, in honor of Justine Harrison Coleman, who found herself through chance and chose herself through courage. She didn't need to see it to know it was perfect. They drove home through familiar streets, past the mall where she'd bought her first makeup, the bookstore where they'd had their first date. Each landmark told the story of becoming. Matthew felt like fiction now, a character in someone else's story. Justine was real, was true, was home. "Happy?" David asked at a red light. Beyond words. The girl pills had done their work, but she'd done hers too. Built a life worth living, found love worth having, became someone worth being. The brown-haired woman in the passenger seat bore little resemblance to the confused man who'd swallowed the wrong medication 5 years ago. Thank goodness for that. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to check out my other socials if you want more content, early access, behind the scenes, and more. All links down below.